Well, here we are again, folks, and we're in the book of Colossians. Paul wrote to the Colossians, and he tells them, he warns them of many things that's going to be in the world. And he said, let no man despise you because of your way. P-I-Z-E. I despise you because of the way that you are. When you become a Christian, I had a brother that was an alcoholic. He was a pretty rough guy. And right after I got saved, he came to the house and he said, well, what's the deal? He said, you're holier than I now? And you're one of them holy Joes, holy roller, and you're holier than thou? And he said, I don't think I want anything to do with you again. He said, I think what I ought to do, because he'd had a few to drink, is just punch you out right here, right now. And I said, what in the world is the problem, brother? What's the problem? And he said, well, I heard you told that bounty collector, that bounty hunter, that you didn't have anything to do with me. Now you got saved and all that. I said, no, I didn't tell him that. What I told him is I don't go those places anymore, so I don't know where you are. You want me to tell him where you are? I got a good idea where you are, but I don't go there, so I don't know you're there. And he said, no, I'd rather you didn't tell him where I was. Well, I said, that's what I was saying to him. He said, well, he told me that you got religion now, and you're holier than me, and you don't want nothing to do with me. I said, that's not true. You're welcome to come here anytime you want. But I'd appreciate if you'd really come here sober, and I'd appreciate if you didn't bring bottle with you, because I don't do that anymore, and we changed the rules around here a little bit. What used to be is not. And so we changed the rules. So anyway, and then Paul's telling these people at Colossae, he said, because you're safe now, don't show out so that, or down anybody or look down. Be proper. Be careful. Be careful. Be careful. I had a man tell me the other day, he said, I let my buddies come up, but I don't let them bring their beer anymore. Well, I had that same thought and that same way in me and the same desire. And finally, one day the Lord showed me. A guy pulls up and he's got his bottle in his hand, got his glass in his hand. What would be the best thing to do? Say, hey, sit here on the lawn a bit and we'll talk. And go ahead and take your bottle if you want to. And he'd bring his bottle, set it out there, set his glass out there, sit there and drink him a little toddy. And I talked to him about the Lord. And so, because he's drinking a little, that's not the big sin. The big sin is he hasn't believed yet. When he believes, then he'll quit drinking from that bottle and start drinking from a new bottle. So, be careful, be smart, be cautious, be courteous after you get saved. Be courteous to those that were your friends. They're not going to be your friends anymore while you're not drinking, but you don't have to. You might break some of that friendship, but you don't have to break all of it. You can break it at the point to where you can't go there anymore, or you would say to them, you can sit here and drink from your bottle, but I would appreciate it if you wouldn't cuss anymore, or you wouldn't swear while you're here. And if you'd honor me that much, please. And just be careful, but don't run your friends off. Don't run the people you've known off. Bring them in. The Lord brought you in, now you bring them in. Don't run them off. And this is what Paul's saying to the Colossians. And he's also, though, on the other hand, saying, you're a new convert now, and there are people out there who don't appreciate the fact that you got saved and went to the particular church you went to. And they're going to do everything they can do to get you discouraged from that church and go to their church or another church, or not go to church at all, because they're not God's children. So they come up and tell you things that aren't true, that aren't in the Word. And so I had a lady got real upset at me. She was from a false religion, a false cult, and she got real mad at me because I got saved and joined a Baptist church. And she came to knock on my door and said, hey, I've been talking to you for years, and you go over there, and why don't you come over here? Well, I said, lady, the Lord saved me over there, and the Lord's work using me over there, and that's where the Lord wants me to be. I sure am glad I didn't get in that cult. But she was very unhappy that I didn't. Now, fellowshipping with God. After we got restored, and we talked in the last one about being restored, about fellowshipping, and then we talked about just now the traditions of men. Be careful. You do not fall in the traditions of men, Paul's saying here in chapter 2. And then watch out for the false meditation of the world. I've heard people say a little yoga won't hurt you. Well, I can tell you this, a little yoga wouldn't hurt you if it wasn't a religion. But if you get caught up in the yin-yang, or caught up in the yoga of the world that's not of the Bible, it will hurt you. It will hurt you. The physical part of it might not. It's the mental part that's going to hurt you. Because you are trying to mentally, and through mental telepathy and whatever, you are trying to follow a false god. And that's what the children of Israel did. They allowed false gods in their presence. Next thing you know, they were worshiping him. And there were people that said, hey, the moon is a god. So they worshipped it. There were other people who could really whittle. Oh, could they whittle? And they whittled out this funny-looking statue, a cow, a calf, or a funny-looking man or something, and they handed it to another man. They said, this is a god. Worship this god. Well, they hewed out a stone. And Paul's saying, watch that. Watch out for that. Don't get into that. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. And by the way, they still are everywhere. Those folks are still everywhere that do all of those types of worship and those types of things. Now in chapter 2, on down through the 16 to 18, he's saying, watch out for ceremonialism, or getting in a ceremony. Let me tell you this. Back in Leviticus, in the Bible, there were laws given. Some of those laws were sanitary laws. A sanitary law was that you wash your hands if you handle fish, and then you handle beefsteak, or you handle meat, or you handle goat, and then you handle something else, to wash your hands in between. Very clean, wash your hands. That was a sanitary law. Now, we get up in the New Testament, and here's Jesus and his disciples, and they're walking across the field, and there's some grain there. And they reach out, and they scoop a little grain off the top of one of those, and they throw it in their mouth, and they eat it. Now, here's the scribes and the Pharisees standing over there, and they say to Jesus, does it not say in the Bible that they can't eat that food without washing their hands? Jesus said, you don't understand what you read. They read a law of cleanliness and took it for a law of righteousness. It wasn't. It was a good thing to wash your hands. If you didn't, you'd kill yourself with infection and poison or something by mixing the bacteria together. But it wasn't a law of righteousness. It was a law of cleanliness. And now they've taken it, brought it all the way up into the New Testament, and now they made it a righteous law. It wasn't a righteous law. It was a law of, like I say, cleanliness. And so you got to be careful. There are people out there that take the Bible and make laws out of what the Word says, and they're not laws in a sense. And we have to watch out we don't spiritualize everything. Everything is not spiritualized. We live in a natural world with natural things. Behind me, my wife has planted a flower garden. She planted that little red tree right behind me there and made that thing grow. And she has made things grow. And they're real. They're not spiritualized. They're there. You can see them. And that's the way with the Bible. The Bible is real.